It's Throwback Week here at footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you an NFL Week 4 preview between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the New York Giants.
When you look at the Giants in this matchup, you instantly want to give credit to Andre Brown and the great job he did last week, but not to take anything away from him. A lot of that credit goes to the offensive line because they did a great job of opening up holes and keeping Eli Manning well protected. I don't even think he got pressured, let alone touched, and that's a huge job for that rebuilt offensive line. Now, this week versus the Eagles, they're going to have a tougher task because they have better pass rushers, but I still think the wide receiving core versus the cornerbacks and secondary players of the Philadelphia Eagles is where the matchup lies. So Cruz, Barton, Nix, if he's healthy, those guys will have to have huge days. Bennett, who's doing well against the Philadelphia Eagles in order for the passing game to take flight. But let's be honest, when you face the Eagles, you have to figure out how to stop Michael Vick. So let's go inside the lab to see how the Giants front four can close the door on Michael Vick.
You always hear us talk about getting push versus pressure versus a guy like Michael Vick or any mobile quarterback, and the Giants did a great job the previous week against Cam Newton getting that push instead of pressure. And here's how they can do the same thing versus Michael Vick. We call it closing the door on Michael Vick. Michael Vick easily wants to get outside the pocket either way. And when we talk about closing the door, it also helps you out with stringing out the running game. So let's say they want to attack right here on the stretch play. You don't want to get out of position if you're a rusher. You don't want to get out of position on this side. You want to string out the running play so your backers can make the play. So naturally, if they're running the stretch play, everybody has zone blocking. So what has to happen, instead of attacking down, usually these guys on the back side of the play attack the gaps. They shoot the gaps, and that way this guy is the field guy as he's playing contain. As he's drifting, he can also have contain. But this is where all the action is. You got to string these guys along. This end can't rush upfield. He has to hold his own here on the tight end or on the tackle at the point of attack. Stonewall him so this guy can come scrape that gap, and you have your field guy right there. So when you string out the run, it's all about the front side guys holding their position and running with these guys, and the backside guys getting pressure, shooting those gaps, and the field guy and the alley guy making the play at the point of attack. And that's how you really can shut down the run. And also you have your guys back here in case LaShawn McCoy wants to cut it back. And as far as closing the door out on Vick, when we talk about closing the door, and I know I've made a mess here, but when we talk about closing the door, it's all about making sure you do not get past the QB or even past the running back. This should be your stop point right there. Once you're rushing, you want to come to an end right there and then start to flatten out. So that way you really keep Vick bottled in instead of giving him an alley that he can shoot the gap and take out. So even if you're trying to blitz, you can get pressure. As a matter of fact, let me show you, get this eraser right here. Let's show you quickly what I'm talking about. As far as getting pressure, you can get pressure on Vick. You can even send extra without losing contain. So let's say right here, I'm gonna just draw up the backside. So you got your backer and you have your defensive end. So if you're trying to get pressure, let's say you want to send this guy here on a blitz, you can send him, but you want to send this guy directly at the running back. Why? Because his job is to occupy that back, while this guy's job is to beat this tackle and get pressure. So you can get pressure by still maintaining contain, because this will still be your contained blitzer, and that way you'll be able to get pressure on Michael Vick.
Now let's move over to the Philadelphia Eagles in this ball game. I think the secondary is going to have to play a huge game this week versus the New York Giants. I have full confidence in their front seven and getting pressure and stopping the run and putting it all on Eli Manning in the passing game. The question is, can guys like Nnamdi Asomugha, Nate Allen, Kurt Coleman, can they be effective versus the Giants spread attack? If they can, then the Eagles can definitely win this ball game, but they're going to have to play up. They're going to have to play above the rim. They're going to have to wall off those wide receivers as they make their way down the seams. Now you look at the offensive side of the football, you have to give the football to LaShawn McCoy. You have to take the ball out of Vick's hands. If he's struggling, put it in LaShawn McCoy's hands, and that way you can help protect Vick. But there's other ways to protect Vick, so let's go back inside the lab to see how the Eagles can do so this week.
One way the Eagles can help Michael Vick stay upright for 16 games is by giving him better protection when they put him on the move. So let's look at how they can attack the Giants defense when Vick is on the move. And it's a simple zone protection, especially when you sprint him out to the strong side of the formation. So let's just do this. This is what we're talking about when we say zone protection to the strong side, sprint out protection. You have your backside tackle and your backside guard protecting the backside, so they drift out and back. And really the front side players are all responsible for a gap. The center is responsible for anyone that comes in this gap. The play side guard is responsible for anybody coming in in this gap. As go to the tackle for anyone that comes in the C gap. You have your tight end releasing out or your receiver going up, and you have your fullback attacking, you have your tailback attacking, and you have Vic rolling, getting a deep roll out and setting up right there. So really he has two guys back here and two guys back there. He's well protected on both edges. And if they can do that when they move the pocket to get him in better position, I think they'll do a great job of getting plays, getting positive plays in the passing game, as opposed to just rolling Vic out without protection and leaving him one-on-one for anyone that's coming to shoot the gap. I think that's how Vic ends up on his back. But if they utilize a little bit more slide protection and get more people involved in front of his face that have the same color jersey on, I think Vic can have a chance to complete passes downfield versus.
Now let's look at the personnel breakdown in this matchup. You see right here, these guys are evenly matched, well stocked with talent, pretty much at every position. The Giants don't have the explosiveness out of the backfield, as does the Eagles. The Eagles don't have the offensive line depth, as does the Giants. So I think that's where the matchups are going to have to lie. But overall, this is going to be an even ball game. I like the Giants in this matchup. The reason why, the passing attack. I think the Eagles will be able to slow down the run and put the Giants in passing situations. I don't have confidence in the Eagles secondary being able to match up versus that spread offense of the Giants when they go to 3 wides or even 4 wides. And defensively, I think the Giants will be able to close the door on Vic and get that one extra stop they need to come away with the victory. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Giant fans and also Eagle fan forums for always showing football game plan support.